Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the webinar today, Cybersecurity for Not-for-Profits with Kaspersky. My name is Christine Hullam, and I'm the Events and Membership Coordinator at Connecting Up. Connecting Up is the not-for-profit organisation that manages the DonorTech program. And obviously Kaspersky is one of our partners with DonorTech. Our webinar today will be presented by Tony Stratton from SMS eTechnologies, representing Kaspersky. He will go through some information on cybersecurity, what it is, why it's important, and what solutions are available. And he will also show you what Kaspersky products have to offer. We will have a question and answer time at the end of the webinar, so if you have any questions, please type them in the question box on your webinar panel. You can do this anytime during the webinar, and we will go through them one by one later on. So right now, I would like to hand the webinar over to Tony.
Thank you very much, Christine, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for taking your time out today and allowing me, and on behalf of Kaspersky, to go through internet security for not-for-profit organisations. So the agenda, what I'll be covering this afternoon is the importance of internet security, how to choose an antivirus software, things to look out for, and when identifying what's the best thing to use in the market. Award-winning Kaspersky Business Security, I'll be talking about Kaspersky in particular, as Christine mentioned. Installing antivirus, a very high-level overview, and just letting you know that it's quite simple to install. Network audit, we often get asked about network audits and the benefits, so we'll just quickly touch on that and what things to look out for when getting a network audit. And then, as Christine mentioned, the Q&A session at the end. Okay, so we've been asked, why do we need antivirus or backup software? In today's business world, the frequency of online banking and shopping, web surfing, downloading, or various ways of using email has become extremely a way of life. And it's amazing how if you weren't to do emails for a day or two, how much that would impact an organisation. So many people on the call today, I'm certain, use online banking and shopping and putting in their credit card numbers or personal information online. It's extremely important that you have protection on your network environments and on your PCs. So we need to have antivirus protection to make sure that when using this type of information, it's not at risk for being hacked or going into the wrong hands, or losing that information to various cyber criminals. So how do we get a virus in particular? There are many ways to get a virus. Email attachments, for example, instant messaging. I myself use Skype quite a lot, and I've had many attempts of being hacked and having information stolen from my PC. So it's very important to have that information protected. Phishing schemes. Recently, there was an example where there were banks, a Westpac site being used, which actually wasn't Westpac, but it had the email address and the reply email at Westpac to say, can you please verify your password and protection details. So it's very important, if you ever get presented with an email saying that, can you please verify this detail, that you contact that vendor or provider, and please make sure that you let them know. Look, I've just received an email from what appears to be Westpac. Is this an example or is this a malicious attempt to gather my information? So please check with the providers and vendors to make sure that you're not being attempted or attacked in any way, shape or form. Other examples are mobile devices, infected boot disks, and fake antivirus software. There are often times where you'll go to a particular website and it'll say, please download this free antivirus software to check your network to make sure that you're protected against viruses. That in itself could well be a virus. So it's very important that you don't download and click yes when prompted to, because you could be exposed or subject to downloading a virus onto your systems. When looking and preparing for this presentation, I actually had a look around and did a bit of a search online for Office for the non-for-profit sector. And I was very interested to find this Australian government website that I came across. And what highlights very effectively and very well was this disclaimer that said, this website is presented by the Commonwealth for the purpose of disseminating information free of charge for the benefit of the public. And very clearly here it says, however, users should be aware that the World Wide Web is an insecure public network that gives rise to a potential risk that users' transactions that are being viewed, intercepted or modified by third parties, or that files which user downloads may contain computer viruses. And some of the things that specifically goes into here on this website is, the ability to be able to disable codes, put worms on your computer, and affect other devices. So I think it's really important to be aware, and I'm really glad that the Office for Not-for-Profit sector highlights that everyone is at risk. So it isn't just the banks, it isn't just the large corporate enterprises that are being attacked. Everybody is at risk of a possible virus attack, many different levels. So what will happen if we don't have a security installation solution installed? So I've been asked this question by the Connecting Up team, and as I just touched on there briefly, no business or institution is safe. A couple of key examples that I've researched recently. Just this week alone, 6.4 million LinkedIn user passwords have been leaked onto the internet. Email addresses and personal information of millions of people were stolen from the marketing firm Epsilon. Experts saw this as the largest breach of its kind ever. And you all know about Sony PlayStation. So attackers found their way into Sony's PlayStation customer database this year, stealing information from millions and millions of gamers. Identity theft of organisations is also extremely important and something that which we must protect. Emails from Facebook, we're now asking users to click a link and input login information. This is an example of some of the banking emails you may come across, or the phishing type attacks that you may receive, of people impersonating organisations, sending emails to users saying they represent a large organisation or an institution when they actually don't. So you feel safe and you're a little bit cheated because you think, okay, yes, I'm getting an email from my bank, or I'm getting an email from my big social networking provider, and I just need to change my password or make sure my banking details are verified, when in actual fact it's a scam. The online payment giant, as another example, PayPal was impersonated in an email by hackers in an attempt to steal users' bank information recently. So again, like I touched on earlier, it's very important if you do come across this type of instance or an attempt by a large provider, just to give that institution or organisation a call and just say, look, I've had an email that looks a bit suspicious, I'm not too sure about it. Was that sent by yourselves, or is this an invalid or possibly a virus that's trying to get through, and let them verify it. We're often get asked as well, security sounds like quite a complex and technical type solution to put into your either your home or your corporate environments. Do you need an engineer or an experienced technician to install this type of software? The answer is no. It's depending on obviously the size and scope of your environment. If you're a larger type environment, then it is certainly recommended that you do get some professional advice, and depending on how detailed your environment is and the amount of workstations and whether or not you have Windows file service and Microsoft Exchange, for example, it gets a bit more complicated as the environments get larger. But for certainly a smaller type environment, it's relatively straightforward. There's a setup wizard. You simply follow the prompts. Very, very easy to use. If you're currently running an existing antivirus solution, it's best to actually remove that first and then install a fresh, clean, new antivirus solution on top. So basically, to answer that response back to Connecting Up, it's a relatively straightforward to install antivirus software. The ongoing maintenance is quite easy as well. It downloads updates to make sure that your virus protection is up to date. Hackers and virus developers are actually doing it every hour of every day. So it's very important that you keep your security software up to date and you address any incoming threats. As an antivirus organisation, you always need to be one step ahead of these malicious attacks from the cyber criminals. So if we look at what's a good size solution for the following sized organisations, Kaspersky as an example starts from 10 employees and above, and it's obviously quite scalable and goes to many, many thousands of staff. The solution obviously varies. What I would like to put forward here today is probably the most appropriate would be the Kaspersky Workspace solution. I will talk about that in more detail very shortly, but it's basically the entry-level solution that Kaspersky offers. It gives you complete coverage and protection of your network. So it actually covers antivirus solutions, it covers spyware, anti-malware, and a whole range of other stuff. Spam, which is very important to stop spam from getting into your networks. So that can actually, even though it starts at 10, it's a very cost-effective solution. And there are many organisations that are 5 or 6 staff only that have taken out the 10-user solution because it's definitely the way to go. So you certainly are open to do that. For any information regarding pricing and or options, please speak to Connecting Up, and I'm sure they'll put you in the right direction. So the Kaspersky solutions are known otherwise as Kaspersky Open Space Security. They call it COS. Kaspersky is a global, world-leading antivirus solution, the largest independent organised security solution in the world. Some of the claims to fame, they often win awards, and I think it goes without saying, if you look at the independent surveys, which is something I'll touch on very shortly as well when choosing a solution, it's always very important to actually get advice from the independent organisations that have a non-biased opinion. One of the most confusing things in the market is if you talk to any one of the AV, antivirus security providers out there, they're always going to say their solution is the best and we're number one. So if you talk to a particular vendor, and if it's according to their labs and their testing, of course they're going to be rated as number one. But one thing we pride ourselves on is actually looking at the independent surveys and seeing how they stack up. An example here as on the presentation is avtest.org, for example. Winner of the Product of the Year for Kaspersky Internet Security 2012, and a couple of other things. Other claims to fame is Best Small to Medium Enterprise Security Solution for Endpoint Security 8 for Windows throughout Europe this year. And another one as well, which is a very key award they won, was Best Corporate Solution for Endpoint Security. So earlier this year, again, they won the leading solution on a number of different bench tests for speed, the performance, the support. Kaspersky is a multi-award-winning product. So to explain how Kaspersky is structured from a licensing perspective, the entry-level product, which is probably most relevant to the audience today, would be Kaspersky Workspace Security, otherwise known as COS1. That gives you complete protection for all your workstations. So if you have, for example, 10 workstations and they're all running Windows, and you want spam, spyware, antivirus, and multi-layered protection across those workstations, you would purchase Kaspersky Workspace Security. There are other levels available. If you have a Windows file server or a Microsoft Exchange mail server, then you would buy an additional suite, which gives you coverage for those servers also. So this table actually explains it quite simply. So the entry-level product is Kaspersky Workspace Security. That gives you the centralized management kit. It gives you complete coverage of smartphones. So if you have Blackberries or Windows mobile phones or Symbian phones, it gives you security coverage on those also, on those devices also, and all of your workstations. So that would give you complete coverage for workstations, smartphones, and the centralized management kit. If, of course, you do want to have if you are a larger site and you do have Exchange mail server, for example, then you would move up to different solutions such as Kaspersky Enterprise Space Security. The top solution is Kaspersky Total Space Security. Normally caters for the larger environments that have much more appliances and file servers and mail servers in their environments. For more details about those, please feel free to call Connecting Up. They'll give you all the details you need in relation to those. A couple of things here. I was told not to go into any technical detail. There are a number of key advantages with the Kaspersky solution. A couple of things that I want to pull out of this slide just so I can break it down a little bit and just explain. Two things that a lot of customers and corporate clients ask for are things like, how does Kaspersky differentiate itself in the market? I hear of all these different providers that have all these different types of solutions. What's some of the features that Kaspersky has over its competition? One of the ones that comes out and really gets a lot of key interest is System Watcher and Behavior Stream Signatures technology. An example of that is it proactively monitors and looks for suspicious activity or something which doesn't look right on the computer. And it actually highlights that and says, you know what, this application seems to be doing something a little bit different or things that it shouldn't be doing. So it actually highlights that and provides information feedback and either blocks it or alerts you and puts it in quarantine just to make sure that it doesn't get out of hand or it doesn't become a malicious software item. The other thing as well, which is really, really keen, is the rollback of malicious activity. Kaspersky enables you the ability to return a system to a point before something went wrong. So again, that's a very important feature and one that we often get very, very positive feedback about. The other slide in relation to just touching on powerful control tools, there are two things here I'd like to talk about. If you have a number of customers or staff within your environment that come into your network and put in the USB key, it's hard to say what's on that USB key. It's hard to say where it's been. Same for external hard disks and other devices. So if, for example, that comes into your environment and there is a problem on that USB key, Kaspersky gives you ability to block people from plugging things into your networks. So device control is a very, very important feature. The other thing I want to mention here as well is perhaps application startup control, the ability to stop programs from being launched. If you have staff within your organizations or if you want to stop people from launching certain applications, games, social networking sites, etc., you have the ability with Kaspersky to stop that from being launched and to make sure there's business continuity and these things aren't being affected or open up holes that may put your environments at risk. So what is a network audit? A lot of customers are asking, you know, should I get a network audit? I've heard of the term. I'm not too sure whether or not I need you know, to conduct a network audit or, for that matter, a security audit. Some of the things that you would be asking for, some of the things that you would receive when you go to a provider and you ask about a network audit. Certainly Connecting Up can put you in the right direction in relation to speaking to a provider that specialises in network audits. You'd find things like how many computers and how many devices are on the network. Who are they? What are they? For example, where are they located? Operating systems that are running and the actual software license that's installed on your network. It's quite amazing how many environments we come across that don't realise types of applications they have running. It could be from a number of reasons. It could be because they purchased a PC that was already established. It could be because they merged organisations together. It could be a number of different reasons as to how this happens, but there are many, many examples that we come across that organisations are unaware as to what's actually A, types of applications in their environment, and B, how many they're actually licensed for. It's funny as well because sometimes you could spend a little bit to get a network audit and actually find out that you're paying for software you're not using, or you're paying for licenses, too many licenses you're not actually using as well. The flip side of that, it is also very important that you are adequately licensed and you have covered yourself so that you are accounting for every possible license that you need. So if you are a 15 or 20 user organisation, that you do actually have 20 user licenses. As far as offering network audits, Kaspersky doesn't offer network audits, but certainly Connecting Up can point you in the right direction. They have a number of providers that they have sourced and they can recommend. So if you are interested in conducting a network audit, please give your account manager an appropriate contact to call at Connecting Up, and they'll certainly point you in the right direction. Another question that we get asked quite often is, we have a network security appliance in place. Do we still need any virus on internet security software or internet security software? The answer is yes. Basically, each device endpoint is responsible for its own security. So even though you are covered at the gateway, and even though when information comes in, it's stopped right at the fence, what happens behind the scenes and what happens on your workstations is still vulnerable. So as we talked about previously, and as I covered off earlier, USB devices, different types of media, that can go straight onto the computer. And that computer is not protected inside the environment. It's still open to possible viruses. So there are too many antivirus products. How do I know what's right for your organisation? Some of the things to look for, and one of the things that I get asked quite often is, I'm currently using a free antivirus product. Why would I pay for antivirus when I can get it for free? It's a valid question. However, depending on the type of organisation that you work, I mean, personally, I feel every organisation has very important data. If you are, for example, you work and you have medical patient records, or if you have any customer details for that matter on your network, any of your own personal information for that matter on your computers, then it's absolutely critical that it's protected with leading software, the best protection possible. One of the questions we always tell our customers to ask themselves, if you were to lose all of that information on your computer, how much of an impact would that have to yourself? You know, if the computers had to start from scratch, if all of that stuff that was on your C drive and all that stuff that was on your network, if you were to lose that as of today, what impact would that have to you and to your organisation? So it's really, really important to make sure that the software that you have and you choose is really protecting your data, protecting your organisation, and making sure that the business continuity keeps going. Some of the things that you look for with all of these different providers on the market are things like detection rates, how much spam does it catch, how much viruses does it actually stop coming through, the speed and performance of that product as well. There are quite a number of products on the market that seem to do an adequate job but take a very long time. Very frustrating for staff to go and have a cup of coffee while it's doing a scan and those sort of things. And one of the key things about Kaspersky, and I think why Kaspersky is going so well at the moment in Australia in particular, is they've invested a large amount of money to put in a local support centre in Australia. So Kaspersky's support is based out of Melbourne, so it's quite frustrating at times dealing with overseas support. You wait quite a long time. We also get feedback regarding communication with some of the overseas centres. Kaspersky eliminates this by having a local support centre in Australia. So again, just on this slide on how to pick and determine which product's appropriate for your corporate environment is really to look at basically the independent surveys, so that you can have a look at it and say, right, the detection rates here, according to this independent survey, Kaspersky far outweighs what this free application software has to offer. So these are really key things. There are many customers we deal with that are running some of the free software packages, and they're saying, you know what, I'm using a free software and I've had no viruses. The truth of the matter is they may well have a virus on their system. They just don't know about it. There are a number of free software packages that just let a lot of stuff in, and when we go to replace that free software and we put in Kaspersky, all of a sudden we find many viruses. Some of them may not be malicious, but they have the potential to become malicious. I talked about independent surveys a lot, and that's one of the things that I really talk to a lot of customers about in regards to things to look for. There are many types of providers and surveys that take place. Here's a couple of examples. Kaspersky achieves the best score against AVG, Sophos and McAfee, for example, doing this independent survey for best repair. So, the ability to actually remove active malware and to restore the system back to its original state. Kaspersky obviously rates very, very well against the competition. Gartner is another leading quadrant, another leading provider. This is the Gartner quadrant, which talks about how Kaspersky ranks against the competition. In particular there, it takes on McAfee and Symantec, and you can see Kaspersky's way ahead. Do you offer discount licensing through Donetech? So Kaspersky does offer promotions and very competitive pricing campaigns to the market. One of the offers that certainly a lot of customers are taking advantage of at the moment is if you buy 2 years, you get a bonus year for free. So we can certainly offer that through Donetech as one of our strategic partners. So certainly ask Donetech for more details, but basically at the very competitive pricing Kaspersky already offers to the market, if you were to buy 2 years today, you would get a bonus year for free. So 3 years for the price of 2. So how do I get started from here? Some of the things you need on hand if you were connecting up a call and ask some questions. One of the things that you'll need to be able to find out about how much Kaspersky will cost and what's involved. Things we need to know is how many users in your organisation. Have that on hand. So if you're 10 users, 50 users, 1,000 users, it's really good to know and identify how much you need pricing for. The current antivirus software being used. So we need to know, because we have options for competitive displacement. So we can actually give you very competitive pricing for switching from a current solution to Kaspersky. The licensing term, so how long is remaining on your current solution, because there's options and there's certain things we can do for you there. So if you've got 6 months left on your existing solution, please let us know and we'll come to some sort of a offering that we can assist you so you're not double dipping as far as your investment. And just a couple other questions we would normally ask to make sure we put forward the right solution. Things like, do you have a Windows file server, for example? Are you currently running any form of mail server? In other words, are you running Exchange, Microsoft Exchange or Lotus or a few other solutions in a mail server? And Internet Gateway, you might be running things like Microsoft ISA server, for example, or you might be running some proxy servers. We're just trying to get an understanding of what you're running for to make sure we give you complete end-to-end protection and that all of those servers, workstations and devices in your network are being thoroughly protected. Okay, great. So Christine, that pretty much covers the presentation. I'm certainly open to having any Q&A.
Yep, so if you have any questions, please do type them in the question box. In the meantime, we do have one question from Ian Sorensen, and the question is, update speeds always seem quite slow. Does Kaspersky have local servers in Australia?
Okay, so they've recently put, good question Ian, they've recently put some local servers in Melbourne, so the update speeds should have certainly vastly improved. If it's still an issue, some of the questions that may be asked is connectivity to your environment, but certainly there's also some smarts in the Kaspersky solution, things like traffic control and prioritization of data being used. So certainly I would recommend speaking to our support team, talking about some of the things that you're experiencing, and absolutely yes, that there is some local updating servers available.
Great. Another question from Leanne Perdriel. The question is, do you need virus software if using a Mac?
Oops.
Can you hear me? Yep.
Sorry, Christine, I missed the second part of that question.
Do you need a virus? Yep. Do you need a virus software if using a Mac? And the question is from Leanne.
Okay, again, good question, Leanne. We often get asked that, and it's amazing how many Mac users out in the world say Macs don't get viruses. If you've seen a lot of press and a lot of media recently, you would have noticed that there have been some examples, and there's been large-scale examples of Macs getting a virus. There's two sides to that question. One, yes, Macs certainly do get a virus, and yes, Kaspersky has a Mac AV solution for Macs. But also B, there are quite a number of Mac users actually running Microsoft or Windows applications on their Macs, which again are subject to viruses too. So just because customers are running Macs, they may well be getting something sent through from a Windows PC. So absolutely, nothing is really safe, to be honest. The only reason I think the Mac users also haven't had too much trouble in the past is normally hackers, cyber criminals, they normally target the lion's share of the market. And having said that, Mac's certainly gaining a lot of market share at the moment. So as they grow bigger and more people buy Macs, they will certainly become more and more a targeted audience.
Ian asked another question, and the question is, just updated a laptop and it started at 27 kbs and gradually went up to 98 kbs. I think that's more of a statement than a question, actually.
Right, okay. So you're saying, okay. Certainly I would speak to the support team in relation to any of those sort of, if there are any concerns there regarding speed and performance. One of Kaspersky's key differentiators is its speed and performance, both scanning speed, but also the minimal impact it has on a network. A lot of customers move away from competitive products, saying, these ones are just too much of an impact on my network, and Kaspersky's won a lot of business because of that.
We have one question from Ben. What's the best way to find out if I have a virus I might not know about?
Yep. So again, a great question. What I would do is, and what a lot of customers do, there's been a number of not-for-profit organisations actually we've dealt with in the past that what they've done is they've put on another solution. So if you're currently running a free software package, for example, and you're not sure that you have a virus on your system, I would, there's a free trial you can get for 30 days. You can download Kaspersky, you can run a scan on your network and see if anything's picked up. I think you'll be surprised. There have been a number of cases and examples that I've come across in the past where they've run Kaspersky and they've identified there are some viruses on their network, on their computer. So I would run the Kaspersky solution to see if there's any viruses on there at the moment. Yeah. Aside from that, Christine, sorry to go on about that one, but there also could be some unusual activity. Some of the signs, for example, pop-ups keep coming up, or you click onto certain things and they don't open up, and sometimes there's different things that happen on the network which are out of the ordinary. That also could highlight the potential virus that could be there. Things to look out for.
That's all the questions I have so far. Does anyone else have any other questions they want to ask regarding anything to do with antivirus, cybersecurity, even though it's not product related, if you just want some generic information? We've got one now here from Lee Walker, and the question is, would the free trial impact the existing virus protection?
So what I would do, I would actually uninstall. You can't run two virus solutions over each other. So if you're currently running an existing solution, you would need to uninstall that and run a new one. So there are Kaspersky tools. It's available straight off the website to remove other solutions that you currently have in place. There are AVG removal tools, for example, and any other solution. If there's one not on there, simply email support and they'll give you the removal tool. But you would remove that one, run the Kaspersky solution, see how you go as far as detecting viruses, and then away you go from there.
Got a question from Nan Wang. What solutions are available for home users and what's the package price?
Okay, so there are many solutions available for home users. There are, for example, there's the basic AV solution, both for Windows and for Mac users. We have a internet security solution. You can buy one PC, you can buy 3 PCs, for example. The internet security solution for home users is slightly different than the corporate offerings because it actually has more home-based type offerings. So in other words, it does things like parental controls and backup and those sort of things that we use at the home. So we have internet security, and our premium home use offering is called Kaspersky Pure. These are available to all national retailers and also obviously through partners. So as far as pricing goes, they all vary in price. They start from $49.95 up to $129.95, for example. The benefit with the home use offerings at the moment is there is a promo running which gives you buy 1 year, get 1 free. So you're getting a bonus year for your license. So you can have, for example, 3 PC for 2 years for the price of 1.
We've got a question from Lisa Foster, and the question is, our current antivirus is about to expire on Friday. How long does it take to get Kaspersky up and running?
So depending on if you're talking about from a home use perspective or if you're talking from your organisation, you can simply get it same day. I mean, if it's a 1 PC or a 3 PC solution, you can simply purchase the product and install it straight away, and away you go. So it can happen in a matter of moments. Certainly, if you want the corporate solution, again, same day we can turn that around. Having said that, and I'd just like to throw it out there, if it is due to run out on Friday, my recommendation would be to get in first thing tomorrow morning rather than leave it till Friday. There are a lot of customers that we do get calls from that say expired yesterday or expired today. I mean, it would be good to have a day or two's notice. Would be ideal.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
Thanks, Chris.
I'll also refer to Lisa on your question about the expiring antivirus that you have. If you want, you can give Donatech's customer support a call today, and we'll see what we can do for you on the edge if you did have it, if you are registered through Donatech. Another question from Nan Wang again. In our organization, we refurbish PCs for aged and disabled people. We want to choose Kaspersky as our default antivirus. Is there any option to purchase bulk licenses for low price?
Is there an option to purchase licenses at what, sorry?
Bulk licenses for low price. I believe through Donatech we do offer that as well, the bulk license.
Absolutely, yeah. So speak to Donatech about the quantities and what you're looking at doing. So 2 things we would need to look at there is the actual solution itself as to what you're looking to cover. So what level of protection is it? Just if it's for PCs that are going out, it's just the AV, or is it the whole security solution, the internet security solution? Or the other side of the scale is as well, how many are we talking about as far as quantity goes? Because there are different bands. With the Kaspersky license offering, for example, the more you buy, the cheaper the price. So there's a band structure in place. So yes, it becomes more cost effective as you purchase more. But certainly Donatech has all that information available.
Quick question. Sorry, we've got a quick question here. Sorry for that. We have a quick question here from Ben.
Sorry, that's not me.
What's the first thing I should do if I think my computer has a virus?
Okay, so the very first thing you should do is I would speak to a technician because there are providers that can do a virus removal. I know obviously there's costs associated with it, but depending if you have, hopefully you've backed up your software and that didn't have a virus on the actual backup software is one key thing. But you have 2 options to either back up your data and save it, but what you want to do is really remove that virus is the key. It's a really hard question to answer because depending on how malicious and how much of an impact that virus has on your computer, there's certainly been cases where I know people have lost data because of a virus, which is which is unfortunate. That's why it's really important to have good protection so that it doesn't happen.
Does anyone have any other?
More than welcome to speak to our support team. Sorry, I was just going to say, more than welcome to speak to our support team in regards to that, because they'll be able to walk you through and to see how bad and how far it's gone and whether or not we can salvage some of those records. Thanks, Chris.
So does anyone else have any other generic antivirus or security solution questions? There are a few questions there that if you wanted more information, such as the bulk license and how long it takes to get the license through if you order it through DonorTech, please feel free to contact the DonorTech customer support and we can help you with that. Anything else? I think there's no one else that has any other questions. Do you have anything else to add, Tony?
No, I think we've pretty much covered everything. And there's certainly any other questions that you would have about Kaspersky. The only other thing I probably would say, if you are looking at a solution, or if you currently have a solution in place and you're not too sure about it, contact Connecting Up, because we do have direct comparisons with other solutions on the market as to the advantage of Kaspersky over that particular product. So we can certainly give you a breakdown, we can give you a matrix as to the advantages of Kaspersky over what you're currently using. So any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you very much for that, and thank you for everyone for participating today. Following this webinar, we will email you a link to a short evaluation form, and we really appreciate it if you can take the time, just a short 2 minutes, to complete the form to make sure we can continue delivering webinars and other events that are relevant and useful to you. In that case, thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Christine.